Welcome, ladies and gentlefers. I'm Ryan Eastman, joining you live from Williamsburg, here for the final event of the 2020 FBA All-Star Week. Joining me once again in the booth tonight is Christopher Whalen. How you doing tonight?
Doing pretty good, doing pretty good. I'm excited to see finishes up.
Yes, I'm sure fans are super excited to see the end of this. I know the players probably enjoying the last day of rest for those who didn't make it here tonight before they have to go back to the grind of games. I mean, we still have a few months left in the season. This is only a little bit past the halfway point for these players. But tonight, it's not about the rookies as it was last night. Tonight, it's about the veterans, the players that were voted in by the fans. We'll definitely get into that once they take the court. But last night, you mentioned that we both mentioned who we thought we'd win. I said the East, you said the West. I'm giving you one opportunity to make that change here before the game gets started.
Well, I traditionally report games on the East Coast, so that's the East is sort of my bread and butter. But I'm probably going to make a couple of unpopular uh, colleagues and opinions on my team staff here by saying I'm sticking with the West.
Ooh, interesting. I mean, it has been kind of a sticking point, despite last year an East team taking home the championship. That over the past couple seasons, we've seen a bit more competitiveness in the West, at least in terms of the top eight, whereas the East has been a little bit more of a mixed bag. But you're going to stick with the West. I kind of want to switch sides myself, but for parity's sake, I'm going to say the East, just because I do kind of trust in uh, the starting lineup at the very least. I feel is very strong for the East. The bench, we'll give it to them. We have some new faces on this roster where I feel like the West is definitely a bit more consistent in terms of who made it there. Uh, we can definitely break down the team matchups because we do have quite a few players that share team in the West. But
It's true.
I think the players are getting ready to take the court now, and we'll switch on over to the game live. And speaking of starting lineup, there you see it. Interesting situation for the West, at least, considering that we have two teams making up the majority of the starting lineup here, with Hawaii and Seattle. Whereas for the East, it's a bit more of a mix. Only Albany having two players in the starting lineup. You see a quick turnover there, and the ball's going to be given to Delmont in transition is good. First points for the West. Any interesting matchups here tonight you want to keep an eye on?
Well, I think obviously the big one here, talking about Delmont and Wildfire, uh, definitely teammates at one point. There's it's very clear that there is some bad blood between the two of them after last season.
Oh, speaking of which, Wildfire getting called on for contact there as Delmont drove to the basket.
I think we can see the two of them being a little aggressive with each other here, for sure.
And Delmont misses the first, and I think you talk about being on the same team and then leaving. I think you can even go to the flip side in the post. Jake Turner versus Daniel Kuvianic, two players that also were former teammates, and we saw Jake Turner slam down a pretty aggressive dunk on the last East possession. I think we're going to see a bit of a battle down low in the post between the two of them too. I mean, they are two of the tallest furs in the league, so don't count them out. And we're going to see a foul on the West this time. JCK getting called on the contact against Narkissa. She too missing her first.
You definitely make a good point there. You think about the bigs in the league. Um, Jake Turner, uh, not really changing, his jersey colors all that much. Maybe going from green and white to green and white, but you know he and Quibianuk definitely I think are on better terms for sure, even if they're on opposite sides of the nation now.
Yeah, and there's definitely a few Interesting matchups, I'd say here tonight, and definitely two new faces in the starting lineup, especially both coming from Albany. I mean, Narcissa has been an all-star before, but not in the starting lineup. She's joined by her fellow teammate Terry O'Toole, who's a sophomore this year, as we see Delmont laying it up and in. And for the West, we haven't seen her yet, but we'll see her take the court not too long. Fellow sophomore Lisa DuPont for the West. However, Narcissa answering back with a drive-in of her own brings the score tied back up at 5 here. Speaking of Terry, he's matching up against Tavella down low in the post. Decides to dish it back out to JCK, who calls for the screen from Scooney. And shot clock winding down, goes for the shot. It is good. Little teammate assist there. Scooney knowing that JCK wanted a screen to get a little bit of an open look from behind the big otter. Again, sorry, go ahead.
Let's say talking about fresh faces on, at the All-Star Game, new face that we haven't seen at all. Kind of almost surprisingly, Wendy Brown showing up for the first time.
Yeah, Wendy Brown, a veteran player, kind of always been. I don't know if it's the fans just have not been on her side, or maybe it's just that she's always been a little overshadowed by the team she's been on. But you're right, first time here. Well, first time since her rookie All-Star Game at the very least in 2011.
Right.
Which is like, I guess you could say maybe the baby All-Star Game. As I compared last night, the child lost in the grocery store game. Yeah, well, we see Lance go to the line 4-2 here. Brings the score to 6-9. Delmont will bring it up for the other end. Now, do you think any obviously we've had a chance to look over the lineups. Anyone here that you think maybe should not have been here? Or better yet, I'll phrase it, I won't put you in that spot. Who got snubbed?
Okay.
I won't make you call names on who shouldn't be here, but who should have been here instead?
Well, I am actually very surprised that we aren't seeing more representation from the Minute women here in the
home arena.
In their home arena for all of All-Star Week. We mentioned yesterday they had their only rookie in the game, but really they've only got one player here for this game. Michaela Marley, who, been on the team for a while, but, I guess really not really starting a whole lot until this year, has definitely become a franchise name. But, you've got a lot of other veterans who normally might make an appearance. Crystal Davis, Renee Fiora, names that are kind of household names that you might have also expected to be voted in just because they're in Williamsburg this year.
Yeah, Vera Latiera definitely left out surprisingly. And ooh, good dunk there from Delmont. I could definitely see any of those three could have been here, and that's kind of been the curse with Williamsburg, you could say. A great team all around, and being all around a great team sometimes means the players don't shine that much, and it just happens to be that Michaela this year has shined.
Well, and I think being an up-and-coming player for the team has definitely helped her in that respect.
Yeah, definitely. She's had 6 years in the league, and finally she's kind of found her role on the team, and she's made it to the starting lineup. And that definitely is going to help. And we see a 10-point lead here. It's wiped away pretty quickly by Narcissa. That's something we did not see last night in the rookie game. Do you think this is a sign that maybe we're going to have a bit of a blowout as DQ in transition? Gosh, Turner just could not keep up with the big bear there as he jumped up and slammed it down. I'm really hoping the rims have been adjusted since last night's slam dunks, because I really don't think they can handle a DQ Jake Turner throwdown here tonight.
Well, with they were already kind of bending under the weight of Barney Dunbrock. I can't imagine the kind of strain they were under with DQ at the helm.
Oh gosh, and Scooney too. Apparently the dunk contest was not till tonight. That's the fourth dunk here already as the West just jump out to a big lead, 20-8 already. And Terry drives into the paint, gets fouled from behind by Tavella, so he'll go to the line for 2. And the West just has not missed a shot yet, and it's kind of hard to miss when you're just putting the ball into the hoop, not even letting it go, honestly.
Well, I got to be honest. If I see DQ barreling towards me with the ball, I'm going to move out of his way, no matter what.
I mean, honestly, you might as well just lay on the ground and pray at that point. Hope that he can jump a few inches over you. And we see a double team there, and Sterling's going to get called for the reach-in foul.
Even with Jake Turner, he's got about 100 pounds on the Fox.
Yeah, God, I mean, let alone if they get a mismatch like, there's the first miss from the West. Can you imagine, like, DQ being guarded by Narkissa right now, or even Lance?
Well, I think Lance would just bounce right off him, let's be honest.
I think Lance would be a bouncing ball between all the players. He'd be sitting into this crowd. But Narkissa there does bring it back to a single-digit lead. It looked like her paw was just inside the line, so they're going to call for 2. And speaking of barreling towards the basket, Scooney Barrett, the big otter, lays it up nice and easily, starting from the three-point line, just takes a leap. Could have maybe took another step and made it a dunk, but honestly, it was pretty beautiful. And ooh, Lance blocked by Delmont there. It's going to be a fast break opportunity for JCK. Ooh, I thought Turner may have gotten a paw on it, but he got it off in time. That's a scary thought, the giant fox chasing you down from behind and trying to take a spot-up shot. Because you can hear those footsteps.
And he's got reach. I mean...
Yeah, I mean, DQ is a little slower off the draw, but the fox is a bit quicker. And that's someone that you have to be wary of chasing you down in those fast break opportunities. And Narkissa is going to get called for the push here against JCK. So he'll go to the line for 2. Good on the first, and we do see some substitutions. I think this is definitely the kind of rosters for both teams that they're just going to be cool with sending whoever out, because honestly a lot of these players are in MVP contention this year.
That's true.
Oh, Lawyer. Someone better call a lawyer for him because he's going to get arrested for that steal. That was just dirty. He just slapped it out in Narkissa's paws. Delmont giving it to Barrett at the top of the key. Gets sent it back. He's matched up against Narkissa right now. He has a free lane to the basket, and Narkissa just comes in, and Lemur fouls him from behind, trying to stop the easy dunk, but still able to get it in off the contact. So he'll go to the line for an and one opportunity.
I think, especially in this situation, kind of like I was saying yesterday, the All-Star Game gives players a little bit of a chance to let loose, maybe get away with a couple of things that they normally don't get to do in normal regulation play. So we might be seeing a higher number of fouls than we normally do because people are, again, kind of pushing to see what they can get away with in a form that really doesn't matter.
Well, I mean, then again, if you foul out here and your biggest concern is the fact that like Derek Kim or Jonathan Lawyer is the backup that would replace you, I don't think a lot of people would be that concerned. I think teams would be really happy if they were in that situation. We're going to see a huge slam dunk here from Turner in the fast break. That's what I'm talking about, the speed, the explosiveness off of a turnover there. He was sprinting for the basket. I don't think anyone was going to catch up to him that had any meaningful chance of putting up a defensive stop. And an alley-oop to Delmont. Renstill. That was dirty. I thought you were going for a three-pointer there, but no, she just lobbed it up to the basket for the Cougar to lay it in reverse. Finesse compared to the explosive power of Turner there. Turner to Amechi. Going to get fouled on the shot. Again, apparently the rookies need to take a look at how the All-Stars play, because I hate to say it, it took them about a quarter and a half for the first dunk, and I think we've seen 7 already here tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, and wow, 2 misses. Very uncharacteristic from the Husky there. You see there, 50% from the free throw line here tonight from the East. Aditya subbed in for Leon. Calling for the screen from Barrett. Just dives his way through the 2 defenders, but Barrett gets the offensive cleanup and the bucket. Oh, God, we're looking at a 20-point game here. See how the East respond, and they're going to respond by a give and go to Derek Kim. He has handed the ball off to Umechi and just sprinted towards the basket. And honestly, the veteran able to thread the needle between the defenders, and the Kim had an easy shot there, honestly. So I mentioned MVP talk earlier. Is there someone from this top 24? Do you believe a top 24 player here will be selected as the MVP, or do you think there's someone who got snubbed that might have a dark horse run here?
You know, it's kind of interesting because you do have a couple of very veterans who have almost aged out of contention here. You know, Roger Umechi in his day definitely would have been a contender. I think he's such a well-known name now and has been up at the top for so long that, you know, definitely not being considered. You've got people like Wildfire who have already had an MVP, and, you know, people are kind of thinking, okay, well, he's had his time in the spotlight, who's kind of up and coming for MVP. If I had to put any money on these top 24, I'd say O'Toole is definitely someone to look out for. Delmont for sure has really had a great season, especially now that he's outside of, you know, Lance's shadow and kind of come into his own as you know, a more of a point guard role than a shooting guard. Or even Michaela Marley. We talked about her earlier. You know, if she doesn't isn't considered this year, I think she's definitely got a good shot next year of kind of being considered the, you know, that coveted MVP spot.
Oh, well, I think Krista Renstill's making a push there. That's 2 back-to-back threes for her. And we did miss a little opportunity there to talk about Griga. He had 2 big blocks. He dishes the ball down low to Turner for another slam dunk. But, yeah, Griga showing up on defense. I think one of the players, and I don't think it's going to be an MVP award per se, but the fact that Kevin Malka's not here, but I do believe he'll still be in the running for Defensive Player of the Year, reigning Defensive Player of the Year at the moment, actually.
So, absolutely.
Lawyer with the step-in jumper, the current reigning MVP, found himself not in the starting lineup here tonight, actually, on the bench. And Aditya with the steal. The Civet is known for his quick pause, and Lawyer on the other end, in transition, makes it a 20-point game once again. The West have kind of run away here between Krista's 3-point accuracy and Delmont earlier just destroying them down low in the post. Carly has the ball. Back to Umechi. Long 2 off the back iron, no good. Renstill will pull up the rebound. Over to Aditya, over to Derby. And intercepted by Griga. There we go. He had 2 blocks earlier and now a steal. Getting it done on defense. The bit of a stretch for there. Don't be surprised if you see him take a 3 later. Umechi, he's kind of been known to take care of the ball himself in clutch situations, and he's starting to do a little isolation here tonight. He is the only Baltimore player that made a representation here in the All-Star Game. A little surprising considering the talent that they have over there now with Toivonen and the free agent acquisition Alessandro Serra. But with that, the first quarter comes to a close. A big difference compared to the rookie game last night, as the West find themselves up by 20 here after the first quarter. Do you think this is a sign that we're going to have a bit of a blowout here in the All-Star game, maybe a 150-point game?
Oh, at least, but I think we might actually just be seeing kind of a greater differential here, but maybe almost in the second quarter here, the East is going to pick it back up, sort of like last night, just on a higher scale. 20 points for all of these veteran players is nothing, especially going into the second quarter. That can easily be made up.
Very true, but if they can't box out DQ, which, I mean, to be honest, looking at who they got on the floor now, it's not a good matchup against him, I feel like. I mean, yeah, Jake Turner's there, but even not Jake Turner, Sterling is out there, but he's got quite a bit of a weight difference there. I mean, he's only 6'9", 11 compared to the 8-foot Bear. But they do answer back with a bucket of their own, getting it back to a 20-point difference. Over to DQ. Back to the perimeter with Silvius, calling for a screen from the Bear. They switch defense. Redfield, that's an interesting talking point, actually, is the fact that Redfield making the All-Star game. Ooh, nice three-pointer there from DuPont. Redfield making the All-Star game for the first time since his incident, and it's not for the West representing Dakota, it's for the East, in fact. It's been quite a long time. He was a All-Star in 2014 was the last time we saw him in an All-Star game.
It's always good to see players representing one side or the from where they've been before. It keeps the league fresh, I think, in some respects.
Yeah, and with that foul from Silvius to go to the line for two. Well, it's definitely interesting to consider that if you count Dillon, the fact that Lawyer, Silvius, and Derby have also made the All-Star game, that's pretty much 4 Dakota players in the end, had he not been traded. And we'll see Terry O'Toole coming back on the floor.
Well, Dakota's always been a strong club. Seeing this much representation from them is not all that surprising.
Maybe a little too much love from the fans at times, considering they are one of those dynasty teams.
Right, but you consider Ben Derby, who was on Bangor for quite a while.
The Derby Deer, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah, he spent 2 years. He spent a year in San Jose, traded to Tennessee.
Yep.
Before he even landed in Tennessee, got traded to Bangor, and then spent 2 years with Bangor before being traded in the big deal that brought Leon to Bangor. Oh, Sterling blocked from behind. Terry O'Toole's DQ, a second block. Ooh, that is just not a fun matchup down there. But yeah, that's an interesting storyline, the fact that all these players kind of, in some way or another, very few of these players are playing on the team that originally drafted them.
And, they're all, this is sort of a homecoming for a lot of them. Because of all the trades that do occur in the league, this is kind of a chance to play again with some people that they may not have in a couple years now.
Yeah, or they only see each other twice a year, really, in the regular season. I mean,
exactly.
East versus West, you rarely have matchups, except for the finals. That's the most time you'll ever play against someone from the other conference. But again, we're seeing the game. I don't want to say it's slipping away from the East. It's just not being particularly close right here. And both teams making some substitutions. Who do you want to see kind of step up on the East to kind of lower this gap back down?
Anyone?
Anyone? Okay. Who do you think will be the one if they do start to lower this back down?
I really think the combination of Kim and Griga, could really be a strong one if the East sort of gets their act together.
Yeah, well, both teams on a streak of missing. I mean, right now, obviously Kim's on the floor. We have Brown and Pratt, who will drive into the paint and get a bucket back. Pratt and Griga and Kim, if they're all three on the court together, that is a lot of long-range shooters out there. And
It really
especially if you
is.
throw Lance into the mix. If they have Lance, Kim, Narkissa even putting her at small forward and having Griga out, you could have a four-man shooting gallery from beyond the arc and just leave Jake Turner down low in the post to get the rebounds.
And just set up screens.
Yeah, set up screens. It's pretty hard to see when someone shoots over the Fox where the ball is. Let's see, Redfield from the left sideline, no good. He's okay from beyond the arc, but not someone you really want to be taking those shots. It's the All-Star game, so do whatever you want, bud. But Tavella on the fadeaway from inside the paint. First basket tonight for him.
It's kind of fascinating. In the East Reserve, you've got Redfield, who's definitely started in the All-Star game before kind of moving to a background role, versus Pratt, who I think I think isn't this his first actual All-Star appearance?
No, he made a previous, I think, in this exact same spot previously. And
That's right.
actually, Redfield decided to shut me up and make a three from the exact spot he just missed. So consider this Peacock shut up about him shooting threes. But yes, he made the All-Star week in 2018 and 2019. This is his third All-Star game.
That's right. Someone's getting me bad data, Jimmy.
Well, to be fair, I think Pratt has played in the bottom two of the both All-Star games, in fact. So, not to say that he's been unnoticed, it's just that he does not get as many minutes. That his first All-Star game was as an alpha, which was a little while ago.
That's true.
I'm double-checking my own stats here now to make sure I'm not telling lies. Yes, Akiak Pratt was the reserve for the last three All-Star games. So consistently in the All-Star game, just has not found his ability to be a. He has not had a breakout year that has made the fans want him to be a starter yet. Redfield answering back with another bucket here. That's 5 now for him. In the West, with possession once again, find themselves up. Not by 20, but still by a significant margin. 16 points here. If you're the East, you're just trying to look and slow them down. Like that with O'Toole with the steal. Is he going to go for the dunk? And he is. The Wolfhound elevates, slams it down.
Well, I was just about to mention, actually, O'Toole, the only starter in this game who, isn't necessarily considered a veteran.
True. Delmont laying it up and in. Well, I guess it depends on what your definition of a veteran. Do you consider the fact that Delmont's only started for 2 years makes him a veteran? And Narkissa has been a starter pretty much since she went to Albany. I think she had 1 year starting in Tallahassee. But yes, the top two, quote-unquote, 2018 draft class. Ooh, that was a nice tip-in from Narkissa there. Would be Terry O'Toole and Lisa DuPont, both players making their first All-Star game appearance. Second if you count the fact that they were rookie All-Stars. Leon calling for the screen from DQ. Decides just to challenge. Okay, I thought that was not going in, but he got a lucky bounce in. Dunk there from the Cougar. I thought he was going to dish it to DQ, who was following up right behind him. That's a scary thought. But Narkissa's not afraid of the bear, even though she gets blocked in the end.
Maybe she should have been.
To be fair, it was a respectful block. It wasn't like he smacked it halfway down the court like we've seen him do before. Even though, if I was a East player, I'd be fouling DQ nonstop because I'd love to see him make another air ball on a free throw. But good passing down low in the post and an and-one opportunity. Lance to Narcissa. Narcissa pump faking enough to get DQ to try and go for another block. Left Sterling wide open there as we see substitutions for both teams.
Ball took its sweet time getting in the basket, but, whenever you get that and-one opportunity when you're down, it's always nice.
Yeah, and alley-oop attempt intercepted. Barrett does recover it, though. Delmont dishing the derby for a slam dunk. Again, we got Griga and Sterling on the floor. A bit of a height disadvantage here with the derby being 4 inches taller than him. And Lance going for three with the Cougar behind him. No good. A little too much power there. We see Krista left open. She's going to elevate. That's unusual from the Silver Fox to go for a dunk there and to knock over Griga. Okay, she can get it done from beyond the arc, but apparently she can get it done from close range too. Maybe we'll see her in the dunk contest soon.
Yeah.
Miss there. West have an opportunity to build it back up to 20 with a make here. Scooney from the free throw line is good. So I wouldn't be surprised if the East have already burned through quite a few timeouts with less than 3 minutes left to go in the first half of this game. If I was them, my goal was, okay, let's get it under 20, maybe 15, something like that. Narcissa for the East has been getting it done. That's 11 points tonight, 8 of them in the paint. Really attacking down low despite honestly facing some of the tallest and arguably best defenders in the league. So this is a very unusual situation for all the players. It's very rare that you get to go up against a 5-man lineup with this much talent on the floor at once. And we will see substitutions as Scooney goes to the line 4-2. Good on the first. Sorry for, I'm losing my mind here. It's been a long week, and Jake Turner gets the offensive rebound and the putback. And that might be how they get it going. Narcissa and Jake, those two have stepped up here tonight for the East. Krista down low in the post, gets blocked. Oh, good. I don't think that's very often that DQ can say that he's blocked a player. And oh, good Lord, Turner, please do not bring down the basket. We do not have a spare. That was a little aggressive there. You can tell he's a little frustrated about the scoreline right now.
Oh, sure.
But Aditya left wide open. Easy three for him.
He could shoot that all day.
I mean, most of these players could. I mean, a lot of these players were in a three-point contest this year. They've had plenty of warm-up and practice for it.
It's true.
Omechi spin around jumper, no good. Less than a minute and some change left to go here. And Aditya trying to go for fancy behind the back, no look pass, intercepted by Jake. That's me, Michaela driving to the basket, good for the and one. And right there is, I think, the biggest difference is the field goal percentage. The West just have not been missing. It's been ridiculous on their part.
I think the East is going a little spray and pray at this point.
Yeah, I mean, they've definitely been throwing up some threes that have been a little questionable, but they're back to a 16-point game here. A stop here and a three-pointer would be an ideal situation, I feel like. They're double-teaming here. That's actually interesting defense, pulling out a bit more help over now. See Jake even starting to cheat over, and the missed shot, and Turner getting the rebound. They have time for a good play setup, and almost stolen there by Aditya. Thankfully, Kim able to clean up that loose ball. Dishing down low to Amechi. Has a good matchup against Renstill, but giving it to Turner, who had even the better matchup against Derby, the two British players matching up here.
I think the MO for the East just needs to be give it to Turner for the next 11 seconds.
Well, the next 24 minutes as we go into the second half, and
Yeah.
it looks like we're going to let Aditya take the shot here. He's backing down. Turn away jumper is no good. Now, I said ideally I felt like a 3 would have been best because it would have put it to a 13-point game, but we end the first half. The East down by 14, 69-55.
They've managed to keep that lead consistent through the second quarter. Um, even narrowing it a little bit. If they can keep doing that throughout the rest of the game, it might be a little closer. But right now, West is definitely dominating here in the All-Star game.
I mean, to be fair, the East aren't even shooting that bad. It's just the West has not been missing, and that's kind of where you're like, okay, guys, do we actually need to play defense here tonight, or are we just gonna not bother as much? I mean, Jake Turner not necessarily known for his defense compared to DQ.
And well, that's part of the issue I think overall in the league. Um, a lot more of the East teams do focus on offense instead of defense, and the West definitely tend to be a little more defensive.
Yeah, well, we're going to run through the stats real fast. Scoonie Barrett, 12 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists as well. Only missed 1 shot. DQ, 4 points, 6 assists. 6 rebounds, 4 assists, and 3 blocks. I mean, that right there, he's doing a bit of everything. He could have a triple-double if he picks up the pace a little bit. Adam Tavella, 4 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists. Jumping on down to Delmont, 20 points, 1 rebound, 4 assists, 2 turnovers, but a block. JCK, 5 points, 1 rebound, 2 for 3. Derby, 4 points, 6 rebounds, 2 turnovers as well. And this is kind of the problem, just looking for who missed a shot even. Because it's not like anyone's really been missing that much from the West. It's been pretty consistent. Attacking the paint. Down the Lawyer, 4 points, 1 steal and an assist. Krista Rensel's first person we've really seen miss more than 1 shot, and she's still shooting 50% with perfect from beyond the arc. 8 points, 1 rebound, 1 assist. And that other shot she made was a dunk, so apparently her range is 0 feet or 24 feet.
Right.
Aditya made a 3 as well, 1 a rebound, 1 assist, and a steal. Yves Carbonaro, 2 points. Lisa DuPont, 3 points, made her 1-3, and the assist. And Sylvius has not done anything aside from a turnover in his minutes. Switching on over to the East, Sterling, 5 points, 2 rebounds, a steal, 2 for 3 from the floor, with 2 offensive rebounds, so both of his rebounds were offensive. Jake Turner, 12 points, 6 rebounds, 1 assist, and a steal, only missed 1 shot so far. Terry O'Toole, 4 points, 2 rebounds, 2 steals. Getting it done on defense. Maybe needs to step up a little bit on offense. Griga, 1 rebound, 1 assist, a steal, and 2 blocks. Hasn't taken a shot yet, but he's been honestly the only one stopping the West right now.
Yeah.
Lance missed his 6 shots, which definitely tough there. He tried to take 3 threes, and those misses hurt. 1 point for him, 1 assist, and a turnover. Narcissa, lots of ones all over the board. 11 minutes, 11 points, 1 rebound, 1 assist. Michaela Marley, 3 points, 1 rebound, 1 assist, 1 steal, 1 block. Umechi, 4 points, 4 assists. Derek Kim, 4 points, 2 for 2 from the field. Maybe needs to take a few more shots with him when he gets more time on the floor because he's shooting well. Dylan Redfield made his 1-3 that I was not expecting, so 7 points, 1 rebound, 1 steal. Wendy Brown hasn't taken a shot, but an assist and a steal. And Akiak Pratt, 1 for 2, 4 points, 1 assist, and a steal as well. So the West, okay, apparently you can't stop them from making baskets, but you can stop their possessions. So maybe that's what the East needs to try and pick up even more, is intercepting those passes, getting those turnovers. So we see them dishing the ball to Delmont to start off this quarter. Over Lance is good from the free throw line. 16-point game here. And the 2 big East players are on the court right now, Turner and Narcissa. And Turner, this is just one-on-one. Look at DQ having to cheat over because he knows he's needed. And Terry gets blocked, though. The Bear fast enough on the comeback. So he just drives into the lane, and the Wolf Dog gets the better lane to the basket than the Bear can get. Good.
A lot harder to block from behind.
Oh yeah, especially not getting called. That it's harder to not get called for contact. Meanwhile, from the east, they're starting to double team, and there's Leon's first miss from Turner having to switch over and actually put a paw in his face. And okay, the pass was off of Leon's back to Wildfire's paws, and that's the first basket from the Rabbit there off of a trick play, maybe? I'm not sure if that was intentional.
Disappointed with his performance in the first half.
Oh, and there we go. DQ answering back with a reverse dunk against the Fox there. See Wildfire getting past, alley-ooping to Sterling. Good for the basket. And you know what? It's back to a 12-point game here.
I see those two, Benzing and Wildfire, on Twitter all the time. I'm not sure if they're best friends or worst enemies.
Well, I mean, you could say the same about Terry and Sterling. I think Sterling played a little prank on Terry thinking he was going to go to Albany in the offseason. Yeah, we see a basket there, putting it back to 14, but the East finally have some life in them, and honestly, if they keep this up, we could see them get back to a single-digit game here. Not something I was expecting. Lance calling for the screen from Turner. 1-on-2, does get a paw on it, so that is another block for the Cougar. Pass up to Scooney on the fast break, no good. Turner just doesn't have to really jump for the ball there. But here we go, fast break. Narcissa decides to back up, send it back to the top of the key, where Wildfire's waiting. A lot of motion, getting Wildfire to the post, and blocked from behind by DQ. Turner recovers the miss, but can't clean up the basket there. JCK dishing it to Scooney. Heads up play there, know where his teammate would be in the post. And of course, the East forced to call timeout. They were so close to clawing it back to single digits, and just like that, it's back to a 16-point game. Well, we're a little over halfway through the season, and we've had a chance to kind of look at both conferences. Is there any team so far that has really stood out or has exceeded your expectations in terms of their performance so far in the year?
Exceeded my expectations?
Yes.
That is a really great question.
Well, I have someone for you. If you want a second to think about it while I kind of explain my thought.
Sure.
I was very shocked how well LVG has done, mostly because of how many rookies they brought onto the team. I mean, we talked about last night the fact that 5 of the West rookies were representing Las Vegas there. And we saw when Bangor brought in a ton of rookies during their rebuilding stage that they struggled because of that inexperience. But Vegas seems to have found enough veteran support around them that they've been able to guide the rookies, I think, far better than Bangor did. And, I mean, we're looking at LVG. If they keep it up, they might sneak into the playoffs this year.
Yeah, that would definitely be a nice change for them. I know they've come close several years in a row now, but haven't been able to really clinch those playoff spots. Another team kind of look at, you mentioned earlier, was Baltimore having a very good season this year.
I gotta stop you for a second because apparently this just has become a block fest. We just saw DQ absolutely stuff O'Toole twice. And I mean, it's going to become a crime at this point to keep stuffing the dog because he's going to be too full at this rate. And then we saw Jake just absolutely send the ball at the East bench. He's very lucky that the East players were paying attention and they were willing to catch the ball. But
well, Firefox is definitely not keeping his cool head in a situation where he's upset. So
yeah, but no, I 100% agree. I think Baltimore was the winner of the offseason this year. Obviously picking up Sarah, and they were able to be involved in that whole trade kerfluffle with Redfield leaving Dakota and York ending up in their pause proxy of Dakota trading them. So they ended up with 2 new starters in the offseason without really having to do a whole lot aside from fight for Sarah.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Ooh.
Um,
Anyone
I
else?
think it, I was say I think the other team to kind of look at, um, if we're gonna look at the East and the West, Hawaii has had a really strong season this year as well.
But that's even higher than your previous expectations for them?
Well,
Did you think they
I
would
mean,
collapse after the finals last year?
I kind of did in some respects. I mean, whenever you've got a traditionally here on the FBA, whenever you've got a team that is consistently, in the playoffs and visiting the finals, um, you tend to see all those people that you bet on for a couple of years to try to get you there. Either they have to leave, or you've got some decline in play. You really do see the team kind of take a step back, and I think Hawaii's done a really great job of maintaining their presence throughout this whole season.
Well, speaking of which, Scooney with the dunk there. Very nice from him. Almost 20 points here tonight. And East do answer back, at least with the bucket. Yeah, the Kahunas can be definitely a case study in how to build and manage a team. I mean, most of their players came to them through the draft, and they've managed to keep them around for a long time. And I do kind of feel like this year might be their last run at the current roster, because you think about it, JCK, Skinny Barrett, they're players that are getting into their second or third contracts, and
Hmm.
they don't have a lot of opportunities left in them to really make the big money, not big bunny, the big money that they'll be living the rest of their lives on, hopefully. Ooh, Redfield. Apparently, you did listen to my commentary at halftime, because that's a second three from that corner. Starting to find some heat there, especially being left that open. But yeah, no, the Hawaii Kunas, I think, are one of the teams that everyone expects to be good, and that's a lot of pressure on a team to, every year it's the expectation that you're going to be playing for a championship.
And then not getting it.
Yeah, well, I mean, it took. We see Williamsburg, honestly, again, every year, same thing. They're always competing for it, and the fact that the players are still happy being in that situation, it takes a lot of good locker room chemistry to deal with those downs, especially when you've built yourself up so high. I mean, it's one thing to always be losing; it's another thing to be winning and then just fall slightly short.
It can be
And
really disheartening.
it is. It can definitely be. And we see Scooney, speaking of disheartening, forced to take a fadeaway three-pointer as the shot clock was winding down. On the other end, Jake Turner with the double clutch. Okay. Once again, back to a 12-point game here.
There's a little pass there from Wendy Brown.
And Turner, I think, is starting to tire out the Bear. I wouldn't be surprised if they decide to bench DQ. I mean, he definitely has to play a fair few minutes in Seattle, given Seattle itself is in a bit of a rebuild with a questionable bench. But he can't really afford to get winded in this game. Like I said, this game doesn't mean anything in the long term.
Mm.
So there's no reason to risk him potentially injuring himself for the regular season. Great interception there from Redfield, pulling a little bit of his football skills out, and then slamming it down. He read that pass like he was a cornerback and just intercepted it and, finished on the other end with a slam dunk. 10-point game here.
So we talk about players like DQ, but you also have to remember that DQ at the beginning of his career suffered that injury. Um, Now that he's kind of had a couple of years under his belt, um, the wear and tear of playing, how many you really think about how many good years does he have? Like it's kind of, especially as big as he is, you know, will he aggravate his early career injury at some point, just because over time, bodies wear down.
I mean, I feel like every time he jumps, Seattle, management kind of holds their breath. Like, okay, is he gonna keep playing after this next jump? I mean, that's just how important he's been to the team itself. Again, before with Jake Turner obviously kind of coming in and uh, DQ was the big center. Like, I mean, like you pointed out, he still has 100 pounds on the Fox. And then Jake has kind of been the agile version of the DQ.
I don't want to say he's like Slender Man, but
he is very look. If you go back to his rookie year when he was still growing and he wasn't putting on the weight like he should have been, the dude could have been in a horror movie as a monster. As we see Umechi intercept another pass, that's another intercepted pass on the inbound for the East. Thankfully, the West stopped it with the block, but the West players are just getting lazy on the inbounds. But no, like I said, Jake has kind of took it another way, and he's been a bit healthier than DQ, but you have to think it's because, he's 100 pounds lighter than the Bear, and he hasn't, had that major blowout injury. But even him, you kind of wonder, how many years can his body really play up to the level that he wants without getting injured.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that becomes more of a concern for us. We're seeing... Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, I must have blacked out because am I seeing things or the East within 6 points here?
They are. It's kind of crazy.
I mean, I know it's been like, it hasn't even been like a one-sided affair because both teams are getting blocks. I feel like it's the West just giving way too many turnovers, and Lawyer finally will kind of put things right again with a 3, but apparently the East do have some fight in them. I was kind of counting them out already in the third quarter. But you were saying before I had the realization that the East actually were playing this game.
Oh yeah, we're seeing players, stay in their careers a lot longer, or even in some cases we're seeing back. Now more than ever. I think the average lifespan of an FBA player has definitely increased by 2 or 3 years in the last decade.
Ooh, Kim elevating there. Well, I think the question becomes, is it that the players are playing longer, or is it that the fact that they're getting moved to the bench and have less minutes so they can play longer? Because, I mean, you see players like, I'm going to give you the Crystal Davis. I mean, the fact that she was benched this year, is that really going to help her career by being able to be, a sixth fur and take less minutes per game and extend her career? Because I do see us, the average length of a star player, I think, has increased a year or two, but we have a lot of players that, are out of the league after their rookie contracts because they never made an impact.
Well, and that talent pool is just growing. Another huge dunk here, by the way.
Yeah, that's Umechi. I mean, gosh, the East apparently are putting the small furs up to jump big here, taking a little bit of a cue from Turner while he's on the bench.
That'll put them within 5.
Yeah.
But as talent grows and as the talent pool increases year by year, you are seeing, you're seeing a longer time before someone gets up to the starting line, like in Marley's case. So that also sort of can extend a player's career. You're not seeing these starters start as rookies as much. They're taking a year or two to develop, and then really kind of coming into the starting line more as veteran players, even as the teams already have their starting lineup set for 2 or 3 years at a time.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about, Griga, after he retired after his rookie year because of injury concerns and was able to get healthy again and come back to the league. And, I mean, he has been, healthy to begin with since coming back. That year off really was able to, or a couple years off was enough time for him to really to get his body in a position where he could feel comfortable playing again. And obviously it was the right decision for him in the end. I mean, we'll never know, if he had stayed around those years, if that would have, aggravated an injury and possibly had him out of the league by this point. But here he is as an all-star, and this is his second go-round in the FBA, technically.
Mm-hmm.
And we see a foul situation. I mean, the East back down by 9, but considering they pulled back from a 20-point deficit to within a single or within 2 possessions, I'm not counting them out yet. They just got to keep playing smart and constantly challenging the West on those possessions. They've been getting good turnovers here.
Well, we started the end of the first quarter was 20-point lead. End of the half was what, 14 points.
It was 14.
So you know the East is definitely slowly making their way back up towards the West.
And it might just be long. I mean, the East is arguably more veteran presence than the West, I feel like. I mean, yeah, Lance is not that old, but he's been in the league since he was 18, so he's been here, 9 years now? This is his 9th season.
Something like that.
Delmont from beyond the arc is no good as the shot clock expired. I can't believe I'm going to say this, but it's a single-digit lead here going into the fourth quarter.
Wow.
Considering, half an hour ago, this was a absolute blowout, it felt like. The East have really brought it back, and hats off to them. See if they can do the last 9 points here in the last 12 minutes of this game.
You mentioned Wildfire, and I was very critical, especially early on in his career. Definitely a player that I think could have benefited from college play. But, you know, a perfect example of being a bench player for, you know, several years and then finally coming into his own.
Oh, out of bounds there, Leon losing track of where he was on the court. Another turnover. The East opportunity here. Well, I mean, you look at any professional league. I mean, you can go to the UFFL and consider, when you draft a player, are you thinking, okay, I want to develop them for a year or two, or you want to throw them in the situation where they might have their confidence rattled? I mean, it can take, you could destroy a player's career with a bad start, honestly, if they can never really recover from that bad mentality of, hey, I lost us this game.
Well, and that's why some leagues every year this question comes up: do we increase the minimum age for players to be able to play? Do we want them to have that extra playing time under their belt so that when they hit a situation where they might be rattled or not, have their confidence shaken, can they bounce back from it?
Yeah, well, speaking of, you look over in Europe with the European Basketball League. I mean, they allow players under the age of 18 to play professionally. And, I mean, obviously some of them come here and play very well early on, like looking at Kasper Kusic jumping on over from the European Basketball League or the Estonia Basketball League. Like I said, here it's more so high school ball. And it might just be that, level of experience, that level of intensity. Not getting that in college can be a detriment to some high school players that do think they can enter the draft early. And we see an interception there again by Griga. If Griga gets a double-double from steals and blocks, does he get MVP? Because that's like the rarest double-double you can get.
I mean, I'd certainly consider him in that respect.
He is at, I need to look at the stats at the end of the game, but I'm sure he is at 7 steals now, if not closer to 10. I feel like he's been intercepting every ball that's been thrown towards his wings.
That one flop rule is definitely helping him out.
Yeah, we see a miss there. Again, 7-point game. The West probably feel better if they got this back to a 10-point game. It'd be a little embarrassing for the West side to, look at the stat line and see you dropped a 20-point game. Because there was 20 points there for a while in the second quarter.
From the first quarter, even.
Well, I mean, even the second quarter, I felt we'd have to look at the line, but it was pretty much a 20-point game until about halfway through when the East managed to close it down to a 14-point one right at the end. And, ooh, out of bounds there. Costly turnover for the East. Will be the West ball. And here's the thing. Turner's back on the floor now. This is the high-powered offense for the East. keep an eye on Turner down low in the post. I would be shocked if they don't go to him on the next play, because he has been getting it done consistently for the East. As Tavella, extending his range a little bit, goes from the right sideline for three. Speaking of which, Narcissa, she's been pretty consistent as well for the East, challenging DQ down in the post, and that's her 15th point here. Most of them coming from inside the paint. Delmont challenging Turner, gets over the Fox for a lay-in. Back to a 10-point game. O'Toole, he's been quiet this game overall. Again, his first real taste of the All-Star game. And there we go to Turner. Decides to step back and just take an open shot rather than driving to the paint. Maybe being a little fancy there. Showing a bit different than his earlier power plays in the post. And Wren still, she hit two earlier in the game but missed there. The East on a fast break opportunity. Narcissa decides just to pull it up from beyond the arc. It rattles out, though. Thought that was going in for sure. And Tavella shimmying through, but DQ cleans up the board. He gets fouled from behind from the Fox, so that will be an and one opportunity.
The East cannot be happy about this situation.
No, I mean, you feel good that you're back within this is still a game here. It's just
right.
You have now the problem is, okay, we can't close the gap any further. We came very close at one point. Except that, I mean, Turner ripping down the rim might be one way to end the game. You know, a tie. That's 20 points now for the Fox.
If we're going to lose, at least make it entertaining.
If we're going to lose, at least take the rim home with you, it seems like. And I think Jake is trying to rip the rim off of the rim of the basket right now. At the West answer back.
Do you blame him?
No, I don't. Terry going to go for the putback. Jake misses his putback attempt too. And Scooney with the teardrop. I mean, personally, if I was Jake, I wouldn't be trying to possibly rip the rim off. You never know if the whole basket's going to come down on top of you. I mean, we have seen DQ, you know, slamming on those rims quite a bit today. I think they might need to be retired after today's game. Hopefully the league reimburses Williamsburg for the whatever damages are done to their equipment during this game. And Del Mal on the other end pushes the score to 111-96. And there's highlighting the two top scorers for both teams, Delmont and Turner, even though Scooney for the West has not been that far behind either. And then for the East, it's Narcissa putting down the baskets. And Lance is going to get double-teamed and actually blocked. And Turner able to clean up the miss. The East not too far behind, still down by 13. Really want to see them close the gap to single digits again in the next couple of minutes, or else this game might be out of their reach.
Turner's been playing cleanup crew all night long.
Yeah, I want to look at his stats at the end of the game. He might have 5 or 6 offensive rebounds by the end of this game. And that's a great way for the East to stop the West, is just to push them to the corners, make them take that tough shot as shot clock's winding down, and Turner just rushing the shot there a little bit. Maybe feeling a little too into it right now and misses that shot. Ooh, and the ball bounced off the back of Turner's back, and Sterling has the fast break opportunity. Giving over to Narcissa from the left side is no good, despite having a chance to set up her shot wide open, missed it, but she answers back with a steal. Right now, the East could have this game within a couple baskets if they could just convert these shots off the turnovers.
And that's been the problem all night long, is that they've been making really great plays. They just can't nail them when the shot actually comes down.
And Lance is going to, again, fight against Delmont. Delmont gets the block, and Scooney cleans up the board. Back over to Delmont. Over Turner. Corbers it, though. Oh, isn't that ironic? Sterling on the other end cleans it up between the two defenders, pushes it to triple digits for the first time. And Sterling losing the battle against Barrett. As you see Barrett there at the 23 points himself. Between him and Leon accounting for half the points for the West here tonight. And that's actually something to think about with Scooney. His contract, not saying it was team friendly, but for considering how skilled the Otter is, he might be commanding quite a contract this next offseason. I mean, $20 million. You could argue he might be owed a max contract here. And I don't know if Hawaii can afford that. Delmont putting in a quick basket, pushes it back to 13. I kind of talked about the fact that I wanted to see them down to single digits by this point or else they're in trouble. And this is why, but Kim, that's a beautiful way to get around a bigger defender, is to double clutch, pull back down, and just dance around him.
Rolled right off the feathers there.
Yeah, but right there, Delmont going to answer back. Passes it up and then gets an easy go to the basket opportunity. The lane was there, took it. I mean, it's just an easy assist at that point. And Sterling going to answer back. I think the assist was from DQ there, a little teammate to teammate knowledge of how each other plays. And I think that stat line there, the East have had so many more shot attempts. And in the end, it hasn't even mattered. And we see Kim forced to contact Leon there on the drive, and he's sent to the line for an and one opportunity. Again, now the East are making shots, but it doesn't matter. The West just answer right back with every bucket. Even though if you're the East, you have to feel good. You got it back within 4 points there. And Kim trying to force the ball in, but out of bounds from DQ there. Forces a turnover as he landed. His paw was on the line. And down the DQ, wide open from beyond the arc is good. That is one way that they can get back in this game. They're going to go ahead and go for a full court press with 3 minutes left to go in this game. Down by 11. Stop here, another 3, and they're back within 8.
I think at this point the East just wants to keep the score close. But it's not the way to do it.
Well, they tried the double team there, and I don't blame them, but that just left Scooney so wide open. I mean, most of these players, even though they're not used to playing with one another, they have enough basketball IQ to realize when the double team's called, there's someone open. And Kim there just unable to make the basket. Now Scooney to JCK on the fast break. Slows it down. Isolation play off the iron is no good. Scooney almost got the rebound there too. But we have almost 120 seconds left to go in this game and still a significant lead to Mount. Narcissa does step inside the paint for a jumper. And again, and she has 17 points here tonight. And there we go. Full court press from Leon to Scooney, but Scooney, a little gassed, missed the open basket with Sterling right on his back. And Kim blocked out of bounds by DQ. That's his, I think, 6th block here tonight.
It doesn't take much for the polar bear to do that, though.
Well, not against Narcissa, no. I mean, or even Kim. The height differential, and ooh, Tavella. That might be what puts it into that interception there. And they're going to play a quick play down the Delmont. Backdoor pass is good. 13-point game here. 1 minute and 40 seconds to go. This could have been a single basket game, and now the East is just making sloppy plays. They tried to go for a full court pass there, and now they're just trying to emulate what the West is doing right now as Leon passes up to DQ. And I mean, that's the big thing. You look at the points off turnovers is really high, but 25 points off of 19 turnovers. Usually you don't see the team with that double the opponent's turnovers win. As DQ intercepts the alley-oop attempt to Turner. I mean, yeah, you throw up to an 8-foot Fox. He's almost always guaranteed to pull down the board unless you're going against an 8-foot polar bear as well.
Right.
I mean, against most defenders in the league, that would be easy throw, but with that, I think that is the nail in the coffin there. 17-point deficit here with 65 seconds left to go. I think at this point for the East, they're just going to go for some three-pointers and try and make it look close. Because it really was at one point. The third quarter was coming to an end. They got it back within 4 points, and Kim off the inbound turnaround, no good. Pratt pulling down the board will be fouled on the way up for an and one. And both teams bringing in their bench players, even though, honestly, bench players at this point are still starters in the league. So, if anything, they're more rested than the rest of the players that were out there. And they still go for their full court press, obviously. Try and force a turnover of some kind, and he has to get across the line quickly. It was almost called for the 8-second backcourt violation. And Pratt will go for a reach-in. It's not enough to send them to the bonus, and we will see again substitution. Bringing back out actually some of the starters. Maybe just want to give them just a minute to catch their breath with the timeout and then a dead ball situation. Now Sterling's going to get called for the reach-in. Still, again, not... Oh, that is enough, actually, to send to the line for the bonus. Scooney a chance to get to 26, and it is there. And again, the coach is just throwing out players onto the court after a few seconds. They just made a substitution once again. And with that, Scooney, 27 points here in the All-Star game. Great showing from the Otter there.
Well, I think at this point you're just giving everyone kind of a chance to play a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, down by 16. Make a basket here. Blocked. Delmont going to pick up the ball. He could drive out the shot. I mean, he has 5 seconds separating the shot clock and the game clock, so there's still at least one more basket to be had from the West. And it looks like Delmont wants to be the one to take it. He will from the free throw line. A little bit of disrespect there to go for yet another basket here, but the shot clock has been turned off here in the East. Maybe we'll take a shot. Maybe let it dribble out just to end the game as is. And it looks like that's exactly what will happen. Umechi not going to try and take another shot here. And the game comes to an end, 130 to 112. Ooh, jumping on over to the stat lines. Scooney Barrett, 27 points, 5 rebounds, 8 assists, 1 block, 11 for 18 from the field. Daniel Kuvionic, 11 points, 20 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, and 9 blocks.
Wow.
9 blocks.
Absolutely crazy.
He almost had a triple-double in the All-Star game with blocks. Leon Delmont, 37 points, 5 rebounds, 8 assists, 3 blocks as well. Maybe robbing the polar bear of one of those. That could have been a triple-double. 17 for 21 from the field. Adam Tavella, 14 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals, 2 blocks, doing everything. 6 for 9 from the field, including a 3-pointer. JCK, 4 for 8 from the field, misses 2 3-pointers, 9 points, 1 rebound, 6 assists, though. Krista Renstill, she hit 2 3-pointers early and then went cold from beyond the arc, only finished with 8 points, 1 rebound, 2 assists. I'm still stuck on the 9 blocks. That's ridiculous. Moving on to Derby, 4 points, 6 rebounds, 2 blocks.
He's just like stretching and happens. Oh, swatting a ball out of the air there.
He's yawning and just, oops, I got a block. Lawyer, 10 points, perfect from the field, 4 for 4. Yves, 2 points, 2 assists, 1 turnover, 1 for 3. Aditya, 5 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, and a steal in his 11 minutes on the floor. Silvius, also 1 rebound, 2 assists, and a steal, no points for the Weasel. Lisa Dupont making only one of her 3 3-pointers, 1 for 3, but 3 points total with 1 assist as well. The bench not getting a lot of opportunity to score here tonight for the West. Hopping on over to the East, Sterling, 5 for 7, 11 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, and a steal. Jake Turner, he did end up having 6 offensive rebounds, 22 points, 18 rebounds, almost a 20 for 20 effort, 3 assists, a steal, and a block. Just couldn't get blocks going as well as his counterpart in the West. Terry O'Toole, 6 points, 4 rebounds, 2 steals, 2 offensive rebounds, so fought well down low in the post, just could not get his putbacks to fall.
And a partridge in a pear tree.
Yeah. Narcissa Cassius, 8 for 16 with 17 points, 1 rebound, 3 assists, and a steal. Wildfire struggling tonight, 2 for 14, 5 points total, 1 rebound, 4 assists. Edwin Griga, 2 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 4 steals, 3 blocks. Literally just gorging the stat line in every category except the turnover margin. Uh, Good showing from him tonight. Kim showed up in the second half, put up 11 points, 5 for 9, 1 assist. Umechi, 6 points, 1 rebound, 8 assists, and a steal. Michaela Marley only got 4 shot attempts, but put up 5 points, 1 assist, 1 rebound, 1 steal, and a block as well for the Wolfbat. And jumping down to the bottom half of the East, Dylan Redfield showed up in his time. 16 points in only 14 minutes, 1 rebound, 2 steals. Wendy Brown, first All-Star game for the veteran, 2 points, 1 rebound, 2 assists, 2 steals. And Akiak Prak, 3 for 5 from the field, 9 points total, 2 rebounds, an assist, and a steal. Mr. Consistent from coming off the bench. I think his stat lines in all the games have been similar to that. And we will hop on over to the quarter-by-quarter breakdown, but honestly, I think we all know that the first 2 quarters really were the West's showing, and in that third quarter, the East just came back like in a blink of an eye. Honestly,
Yeah, did their best to make up for it and didn't quite get it, but
well, yeah, and I mean honestly, it was even close for a bit there at the end. It just came down to the East missing a few shots and the West making the last run. I mean, as you see there, again, so many turnovers, so many steals, 7 steals compared to 0. The West was just not generating the turnovers, but they were making the baskets in the end. And the blocks, the blocks, the blocks. Oh my God, the blocks. I think by the end of the game, I want to see the stat line, what the total differential was, but I'm pretty sure it was twice as many for the West compared to the East in terms of total blocks. And yet, 3 times, in fact, actually. 17 blocks to 5 blocks, whereas for the East, they had double the steals. I mean, that's really, the defense was comparable between the two of them at least. The shots that the East put up that were extra got blocked, and the East got extra shots from the turnovers.
right.
But looking at the other breakdown, I mean, for the most part, the East did well. Fast break and points in the paints and second chance points were all leading their way, and offensive rebounds as well. It really just came down to making the basket in the end.
And that's what I was saying before was that these teams were very even. It just that when it came push came to shove, the East just couldn't get the ball in the basket, and I sound a little bit obvious here, but if you can't score, you can't win.
I mean, that is generally how it is. If you could have a 0-0 score and the game never ends until someone makes a basket, but in the end, it ended up coming down to some strong showings from both teams. I mean, obviously, we talk about Leon and Scooney for the West, and I think for the East, definitely Turner and Narcissa showing up was great for them. And then obviously some of the players on the bench, like we saw Kim and Redfield putting up good points as well. Um, Good game overall. I think both teams, well, the East maybe not so much, the West not so much, but the East kind of wish they could. Oh God, you okay? I
Yeah,
know, I know,
sorry.
I know. Spring is coming, but that doesn't mean it's allergy season yet.
Oh, geez.
But
Someone shedding here in the booth.
it can't be me. I only have feathers. I'm not molting yet. I promise. I blame you.
I blame Jimmy.
That's a fair accusation. But in the end, that first quarter I think really was the downside. I mean, you get rid of that first quarter, and this game is tied basically.
Absolutely. It was good game overall. I mean, all things considered, it's always great to see players of this caliber on the court in general. Altogether, even more so.
Yeah, and I think the fans definitely got their money's worth with the number of dunks. I'm pretty sure I can see from here one of the baskets is kind of bent a little bit, perhaps. Someone needs to get a level out there and make sure that it's straight.
I hear they had extra weight placed on the baskets just to keep them upright, and they're still listing a little bit. So
Well, if anything, this tonight we had more dunks than the dunk contest itself, so I hope all the fans got to enjoy that. Uh, no injuries. No one got hit by an errant ball being sent into the crowd by one of DQ's blocks, so that's good.
or a giant elbow.
or a giant elbow, or a giant fox landing on them.
Causing earthquakes.
Nah, more like broken legs. God, that's the last thing any of these players need right now. Is the teams are looking to the playoffs, which is what the second half of the season is going to be all about here. The chase for the cup.
Yeah,
Not
we'll
not
see a shift, I think, in just how some of these players focus shifts from, kind of building a team base versus really looking for that playoff spot.
Yeah, like I said, that is going to be the rush. We talked a little bit about who had been exceeding our expectations earlier, and we'll have to see if after this little break, the teams that we had our eyes on maybe continue that path, or if this break was an unfortunate opportunity for the other teams in the league to kind of right the ship, as to say, and get back under and make a big push for the playoffs here. Well,
Absolutely.
I'll say any last thoughts before we wrap this up and send off everyone?
Well, it has been a fantastic week here in Williamsburg. I do appreciate FSPN allowing me to kind of come out, do some of the coverage for these events. It's always a pleasure to be with you in the booth here, Ryan,
Thank
as
you. It's
well.
always a pleasure to have you too and your insight. I definitely know you working out in the East have a lot more expertise in that field. I'm kind of forced to dip my wings in every team and be up to date on all of them. So getting more insights always fun to have. But I think it is time to wrap it up and send you folks home. It's been a wonderful evening. I've been Ryan Eastman. Thank you once again, Christopher Whalen, for joining me.
It's been a pleasure. Everyone have a great night.
Yeah, we will see you for the playoffs.